Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wagner. This is week 6 of school. I wanted to review what we did last week. Last week we did a contour line drawing of a pumpkin that you had at home, either a real pumpkin or an artificial pumpkin that was more of a decoration. I also, on the module of week 5, had examples of pumpkins that you could click on, and you could see pictures of pumpkins. If you're just not ready to have, pumpkins, it's too early for your family to buy a pumpkin. So we drew that on the top half of our paper. Remember, we folded our paper in half, then opened it, drew on the upper half. Then we were supposed to trace with a heavy crayon. Just keep tracing over and over with your crayon. I already ironed mine. You can see it's very, very light. What I did was I folded it back up. I took a hot iron. It's better if you have it on an ironing board or maybe a towel or something. The table's a little bit hard, but I pressed. I didn't get a whole lot of wax on my crayon, from my crayon on my pumpkin. So it made the reflection line a little bit light. You could always go over it a little more if you want to see it a little bit darker. You can see I drew on the lines. You can see them, but they're pretty light. If you don't have an iron, my children don't own irons, you could always take your drawing and just fold the paper the opposite way so that the drawing is on the outside. Put the drawing side up against a window and you could see the lines and you could trace it either with a pencil or your crayon. Just trace what you see because the light will reflect through the back and you'll see it on the other side. So you don't really have to have an iron. It's just kind of fun to do an iron, but you would need to have parents do the ironing for you, or an adult. I don't want you to get burned using an iron because you really need the iron pretty hot. And it shouldn't, if your paper is nice and thick, that like the copy paper, it should not hurt the paper. If you're afraid that it's going to hurt the paper, then put a thin towel, like a kitchen towel, between the iron and the paper. When you fold it back up, put your towel on top of your paper and press it if you think, because sometimes your irons can be quite hot. So this is where we're supposed to be and have it ready for this week. So you were going to do this part down here, either by ironing or fold it in half so that the drawing is on the outside and trace it. We've done tracings before using the windows as light boxes. Before you start adding color to your pumpkin, I would like you to go to the week 6 module, and at the top there are 2 videos. One video is talking about warm and cool colors. It's a couple minutes long. And then I would like you to look at the other video about color. It talks about all different types of color, like primary colors, secondary colors, complementary colors, warm colors, and cool colors. So it talks about it a lot. And I think it was a cute little video that's fun and informative. It gives you a little bit more information about warm and cool colors. And we are going to paint our pumpkin with warm and cool colors. My paper is very large because this is what the students at school are using. Your paper that you have probably is going to be smaller if you are doing remote learning. So just think about yours is going to be a little bit smaller. For the top part, the top half with the pumpkin that has the nice heavy dark line on it, you're going to use warm colors. I want the warm colors, and I am going to paint with watercolors. If you have watercolors, please do it. Remember, just a little tiny bit of water on your brush. Get your paints a little bit wet because you really want that water to be nice and dark. You want to have a nice dark orange. I don't think I'm just going to paint my whole pumpkin one color. I might skip every other one and paint the one in between a different color. So I'll paint, oops, I'm going outside the lines. And a little more. If I notice that my paints are starting to get dry, I just get my brush a little bit wet and then I start again. Also, when you're using watercolors, this is a very large brush. Wipe off some of the water off the edge of the cup. That helps a little bit. I think I'm going to put red, so I'm going to get my red a little bit wet. And your pumpkin could be all red. You can even mix red and orange together and come up with a different color. Create a new color. I'll just paint a couple of them. But you're going to paint the pumpkin, the stem. Now I know the stem is usually green, but we could do brown. I think that's black on paints, at least my paints. Brown is on the end. Brown is a warm color also. Black is a cool color. So we're going to paint. Obviously you're going to have to let it dry for a little bit before you move it around too much. But the top part is going to be warm colors. Your background can be patterns by taking a little bit of yellow, mix it in, just make pretty colors. Add a little red in there. I could even do some red in my yellow, create a new orange. So your background will be the same as the pumpkin. We're going to use warm colors on the whole top half. Stop at the fold line. So these will be all warm colors. All the way across, the whole pumpkin will be painted warm colors. Cool colors will be painted down below. We're going to pretend this is like a reflection. So the pumpkin will be cool colors. And again, you can mix. Like I kind of like mixing purple and blue together. I would mix lighter colors maybe for your pumpkin. You want to see a little bit of a difference between your background and your pumpkin only because it's going to be all like, you won't really see the black lines as dark as you see up above. So maybe you could do your background blue and then get a little black in there. And really be careful right up against the edge because there's not a lot of wax on the bottom part. So you're going to have to watch and take your time and be careful. So this is going to be like your water, the reflection in the background. Your background could be all black if you want it just to be black. And then your pumpkin could be blue, could be a little bit of purple in there. So you're going to paint your pumpkin one color and your background could be, this is not watercolor paper, so try to be pretty sparingly with the water because it just makes the paper kind of warp a little bit, but as it dries, it gets a little bit better. So you can see I have the background is really dark and my pumpkin is blue. It could be, like I said, purple. You could even put a little bit of green. Since green is a cool color, your stem could be green. I'm trying not to put too much water. Careful. I can't really see my outline very good because it's so light. I didn't get enough waxy crayon on my pumpkin to get it to transfer very easy. So please, this is what you're going to do with your pumpkin. The top half is warm colors. The bottom half is only cool colors. Here are examples of warm and cool colors. Blues, greens, purple, gray, and black. Those are cool colors. Warm colors are reds, yellows, oranges, pinks. Those are warm colors. And brown. Brown on at times you could use brown as a warm color. So where we're talking about reflection lines, we ironed to get to have a transfer. If it doesn't transfer and you don't have an iron, remember to flip it, fold it the other way so that the drawing is on the outside. put the drawing against your window, trace it with a crayon. You could make it darker than this. I would definitely make it a little darker than this. If it doesn't iron good, you could always make it a little bit darker so that you could see it. I kind of like it a little bit darker, I can see. This is what you're going to do this week. We were investigating warm and cool colors, so please paint or use colored pencils or crayons to create your warm and cool colors. Walmart has pretty cheap watercolor sets. I think they're less than $3. So if you can do it, I would do watercolors. If you can't, crayons and colored pencils work just as nice. Enjoy yourselves. Can't wait to see you again.